The sky was burning red. Explosions painted the horizon like firestorms. The ground shook with every blast and the air smelled of smoke, fear, and death. Thousands of alien soldiers ran in panic. Their shining armor was covered in dust and blood. The mighty Xylarian army, once proud and powerful, was now broken and afraid. Above them, dark shapes moved in the clouds. Huge monsters with wings of steel and skin like shadow. They were called the Devourers. No one knew where they came from. Some said they came from the black hole beyond the star belt. Others believed they were created by ancient gods to destroy everything alive. But one thing was clear. Nothing could stop them. Laser cannons failed. Energy shields melted. Cities vanished in minutes. The Xylarian Queen's forces tried to fight back, but even her royal guard had started to retreat. The aliens screamed in fear, their battle cries turning into hopeless wails. Yet in the middle of that chaos, one figure stood still. A human, a lone soldier in a damaged spacesuit holding a smoking plasma rifle. His name was Captain Ryan Cole. He looked around at the running aliens and muttered, "Cowards." His voice was calm, too calm for a man standing at the edge of death. His helmet visor was cracked and one eye was bleeding, but he didn't move. From the Queen's command tower, the alien generals watched him through their screens. One of them hissed, "Why is that human still there?" "He'll die," the Queen didn't answer. Her silver eye stayed fixed on the small human figure. "No," she whispered. "He's not afraid." On the battlefield, Ryan reloaded his weapon and looked up. The sky darkened. A shadow fell over him. The ground cracked as something massive landed. A devourer 10 times bigger than a tank. With a face made of shifting bones and eyes like burning coals, every alien soldier who saw it screamed and ran. But Ryan didn't move. He slowly lifted his rifle. His voice was low but strong. "Let's see if you bleed." The monster roared, a sound so powerful that windows shattered miles away. It swung one giant claw, smashing tanks like toys. Ryan jumped, rolled, and fired. Blue plasma shots hit the beast's face, lighting the battlefield with electric fire. The monster stumbled back, angry but surprised. It had never been hurt before. Ryan smiled, just a little. "Yeah," he said softly. "You can bleed." From the command tower, the Queen's generals gasped. "Impossible," one whispered. "No one has ever wounded a devourer." The Queen's lips curved into a faint smile. "Maybe," she said. "We need more humans." The battle continued. Ryan ran between burning machines, using the wreckage for cover. His ammo was low, his armor half melted, but his mind was sharp. He moved with the discipline of a soldier who had seen too many wars. He used alien weapons he barely understood, throwing energy grenades, hacking control panels, turning crashed drones into bombs. Each explosion made the devourer angrier, but also weaker. Finally, Ryan climbed onto a fallen tower. He aimed at the monster's head. His rifle beeped. Last shot. He took a breath and fired. The plasma bolt hit straight through the creature's eye. The beast roared, shaking the ground, then turned and flew back into the clouds, disappearing into the smoke. Silence. Ryan dropped to one knee, breathing heavily. His helmet cracked further, showing part of his scarred face. He looked at the sky and whispered, "Run away, monster, but I'll be waiting." The battlefield was quiet now, only fire and broken machines around him. But when Ryan turned, he froze. Hundreds of alien soldiers had surrounded him, weapons pointed at his chest. Their leader, a tall alien in black armor, stepped forward. "You will come with us, human." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "That's how you thank me?" The alien hissed. "You interfered with royal battle orders. The Queen will decide your fate," Ryan smirked. "Fine. Take me to her." As they marched him through the smoking ruins, alien drones hovered above, showing the Queen the footage. She watched him, this strange creature from Earth who stood his ground when her army fled. For the first time in years, the Queen felt something she hadn't felt since her world went to war. Hope. The human had done what her best generals could not. He had made the monster bleed. And as Ryan walked into the alien city in chains, he didn't know that his fight had just begun, and that soon, the fate of an entire galaxy would rest on him. Because when all the alien armies ran in terror, only the human defended their queen. The alien prison was cold and dark. The walls were made of black stone that glowed faintly with strange energy. The air smelled like burnt metal and fear. Most prisoners cried or begged, but not the human. Captain Ryan Cole sat quietly on the floor, his hands cuffed behind his back. His armor was damaged, his face covered with dust and blood. Yet his eyes, calm, sharp, alive, watched everything. Two alien guards whispered in their strange, clicking language. "Why does he sit so still?" one asked. "Maybe he's broken," the other replied. Ryan smiled slightly. "Not broken," he said in a low voice, "just thinking." The guards jumped back. They didn't expect him to understand their language. Ryan had learned fast, and from the words he heard during battle, from the way they spoke fear. He had a soldier's mind, always learning, always ready. Hours passed. Then the heavy door opened. A tall alien with silver skin and gold armor stepped inside. His name was General Threx, the Queen's most loyal warrior. "The Queen wants to see the human," he said. His voice was deep and cold. The guards pulled Ryan up and marched him through long halls lit by floating lights. Alien statues of past kings lined the walls, all with faces full of pride. Ryan noticed every detail: escape routes, weapon mounts, camera eyes. Finally, they entered the royal hall. It was massive, with walls of glass showing the burning sky outside. At the far end sat the Queen of Xyleria, tall, graceful, and surrounded by guards. Her silver eyes glowed softly, but her face was unreadable. Ryan stopped a few steps away and looked up at her. "So," he said calmly, "you're the one everyone's running for." The guards growled and aimed their spears at him. The Queen raised her hand, silence. "You are brave, human," she said. "Or foolish. Maybe both," Ryan replied. The Queen studied him. "You fought the Devourer alone. You wounded it." "Why?" Ryan shrugged. "Because someone had to. You could have run." "I don't run," he said simply. "I fight." The Queen leaned forward. "You fight for a world that is not yours. For a species that despises you. Why?" Ryan looked up at her with steady eyes. "Because fear spreads fast. Someone has to stop it, even if it's just one man." For a moment the Queen said nothing. Her generals whispered among themselves. One of them, General Threx, slammed his fist on the table. "This human cannot be trusted. He must be executed before he poisons our Queen's mind." But the Queen raised her hand again. "Enough," she said. "I will decide." She looked at Ryan. "Tell me, human, what do you want?" Ryan thought for a moment. "A real fight," he said. The Queen's lips curved slightly. "Then you shall have one." Suddenly, the floor around Ryan began to move. Panels slid open, revealing glowing alien runes. He stepped back as the light formed a circle. "This is a trial of strength," said the Queen. "If you survive, you live. If not, your body will be burned with honor." Ryan sighed. "Great, alien justice." The floor split, and a creature rose from below, smaller than the Devourer but still massive, with claws like swords and armor like steel. Its roar shook the hall. The aliens watched from behind shields. Ryan clenched his fists. "You people sure love drama." He ran forward before the creature even moved. He grabbed a fallen guard's spear and rolled under the monster's arm. He struck the glowing mark under its chest, the weak point he had already guessed. The creature howled and swung its claw. Ryan jumped again, sliding across the floor, grabbing a laser blade dropped by another guard. He stabbed the creature's leg, climbed its back, and jammed the blade into its neck. Blue blood sprayed across the floor. The monster screamed one last time and fell, shaking the hall. Ryan stood on top of it, breathing hard. His voice was steady. "Next?" The guard stared in silence. Even General Threx couldn't speak. The Queen stood from her throne and walked closer. She looked up at the human, small compared to her, but standing like a giant. "You fight with no fear," she said softly. "Do you wish to serve me?" Ryan wiped blood from his face. "Serve you? No, but I'll help you, if you tell me what's really going on." The Queen hesitated, then nodded. "The Devourers are not just monsters," she said. "Someone inside my own court is helping them." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "A traitor?" "Yes," she said. "And I think I know who." Before she could continue, an explosion shook the palace. The lights went red. The guards rushed to the doors. The Queen turned to Ryan. "You wanted a real fight, human. It seems it has found you." Ryan grabbed the alien spear again and smiled. "Good," he said. "Let's show them what fear really looks like." And as the alarms echoed through the alien halls, every soldier realized something impossible. The human wasn't afraid of death. Death was afraid of him. The palace trembled from the explosion. Alarms screamed through the silver halls as alien soldiers ran in every direction. The floor lights turned red. The air smelled of smoke and burning plasma. Captain Ryan Cole stood beside the Queen of Xylaria, gripping a stolen alien weapon. His heart raced, but his face stayed calm. He had seen worse chaos before. "Your Majesty, we must evacuate," shouted General Threx, his golden armor scorched. The Queen's silver eyes glowed in the red light. "No," she said firmly. "The Devourers are not here yet. This is an inside attack." Ryan looked around, scanning the halls. He saw alien guards fighting each other, some wearing the Queen's royal mark, others not. "Looks like your own people are shooting at you," he muttered. Threx snarled. "Silence, human. You have no—" "Enough!" the Queen snapped. "He's right. Someone inside the palace planned this." Ryan pointed to a smoking corridor. "Then let's find out who before they finish the job." The Queen gave him a sharp look. "You would help me again, human?" Ryan shrugged. "I hate traitors." They moved through the burning corridors, the Queen, Threx, and Ryan at her side. Bodies of royal guards lay everywhere. The palace that once shone like crystal now looked like a battlefield. As they passed a shattered control room, Ryan stopped. Sparks flew from broken panels. He crouched beside a glowing device and a small black cube still blinking red. "What is that?" asked Threx. Ryan turned it over in his hands. "A transmitter," he said. "Military grade. Someone was sending data. Coordinates, maybe. To whom?" the Queen asked. Ryan's voice was low. "To the Devourers." Silence fell. The Queen's eyes darkened. "Then the traitor is real." Ryan stood. "And close. This signal's fresh. Less than an hour old." Before anyone could reply, a plasma bolt flew past his head. Ryan spun around, firing back instantly. The blast hit a shadow moving on the balcony above. The figure fell, hitting the floor hard. Ryan ran over and pulled the helmet off. It was one of the royal guards, eyes wide with fear, mouth frozen in silence. Threx growled. "A spy among my men." Ryan pointed to the guard's hand, a strange ring with the same mark as the transmitter. "Not just a spy," he said. "Someone trained. And not alone." The Queen's expression turned cold. "Find them all. Burn their marks from my world." Ryan studied her face. For a moment he saw something human. Anger, pain, and loss. "You've been betrayed before, haven't you?" he asked quietly. The Queen turned away. "My father trusted his general. It cost him his throne." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then let's make sure it doesn't cost you yours." Hours passed as they searched deeper into the palace. The explosions had stopped, but tension filled every corner. In the command center, Ryan found something strange. A secret door behind the data core. "It was small, easy to miss. Looks like your palace has secrets," he said. The Queen frowned. "That chamber is not on any royal map." Ryan opened it. A narrow tunnel stretched into the dark. Warm air flowed out, carrying the smell of smoke and metal. He turned to her. "Want to see where your traitor hides?" Threx stepped forward. "It's a trap, my Queen. Let me go instead." But the Queen shook her head. "No, I'll go with him." Ryan smirked. "Guess I'm not the only one who doesn't listen to orders." They entered the tunnel. It was dim. The walls lined with strange alien script glowing faintly blue. Ryan led the way with his rifle raised. The Queen followed close, her cloak brushing the stone floor. Every step echoed. The deeper they went, the louder the hum of machinery became. Then they saw it. A hidden chamber filled with stolen weapons, maps, and communication gear. Ryan walked to the center console. The screen flashed with coordinates, not random numbers but targeting data. "These are attack plans," he said. "For your own cities." The Queen's face went pale. "Who could do this?" Ryan's eyes hardened. He zoomed in on the last transmission log. A name appeared on the screen, Threx Prime Authorization. The Queen froze. "No, that code belongs to your general," Ryan finished quietly. At that moment, the wall behind them opened. General Threx stepped out of the shadows holding a plasma blade. His golden armor glowed red in the light of betrayal. "So you found my little secret," he said coldly. "I warned you, human. You should have never come here." Ryan raised his weapon. "And miss the fun?" "Not a chance." The Queen's voice shook. With rage, not fear. "Threx, why?" He smiled bitterly. "Because your rule made us weak. You bowed to peace while our enemies grew stronger. The Devourers will rebuild this world, and I will lead them. Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger. Bad choice of friends, General. Threx raised his blade. You won't live long enough to regret it. The Queen stepped between them, her silver eyes glowing brighter than fire. You forget who you serve, Threx laughed. I serve the future. The sound of plasma charging filled the room. Ryan glanced at the Queen. Stay behind me. She nodded once. Do not die, human, Ryan smirked. Not planning to. As Threx lunged forward, the chamber exploded with light, the sound of betrayal and battle echoing through the tunnels of the dying palace. The air turned white with heat. Blinding light filled the secret chamber as the explosion ripped through the walls. Smoke and dust swallowed everything. The ground shook under the blast. Captain Ryan Cole hit the floor hard. His ears rang. His helmet cracked again. He coughed through the smoke and grabbed his plasma rifle, rolling to his knees. Across the room, General Threx stood, his golden armor burned but unbroken. His eyes burned brighter than his blade. You should have stayed in your cage, human, he hissed. Ryan wiped the blood from his cheek. You talk too much, he said. The Queen of Xylaria stood between them, her silver eyes glowing like stars through the smoke. Threx, she shouted, you were my brother in arms. Why betray me? Threx's laugh was cold. You call it betrayal. I call it salvation. The Devourers will not destroy us, they will make us gods again. Ryan took a step closer. You sold your people for power. Threx raised his weapon. You wouldn't understand. You're human. You fight for dying worlds, Ryan aimed his rifle. Maybe, but I still fight. The two clashed, steel and plasma, fire and light. Sparks flew as Ryan blocked Threx's blade with the butt of his rifle. He ducked, rolled, and fired, but Threx's armor deflected the shots. The walls glowed with every hit. The Queen backed away, her voice sharp. Stop, you'll bring the whole palace down. Already did, Ryan grunted, slamming his shoulder into Threx's chest. The impact threw them both against the wall. For a moment, everything slowed. Threx grabbed Ryan by the throat and lifted him. You are just a human, he said. You will die like one. Ryan's eyes stayed locked on his. Maybe, but not today. He jammed a grenade into Threx's armor and kicked him back. The explosion threw the general across the chamber. When the smoke cleared, Threx was gone, vanished into the shadows of the tunnel. Ryan coughed again. He escaped. The Queen looked at the ruined console and took the codes with him. Ryan stared at her. What codes? Her voice dropped. The Planetary Defense Network. With those codes, he can open our shields to the Devourers. Ryan's jaw tightened. Then we find him before he does. They moved through the burning corridors, shadows flickering across the walls. The palace felt alive, whispering, creaking, mourning. Ryan followed the trail of melted footprints Threx had left behind. His mind worked like a soldier's machine. Every sound, every movement, every flicker of light feeding his instincts. Why would he join the Devourers? He asked. The Queen's voice was heavy. Threx lost faith long ago. He saw peace as weakness. He wanted endless war. Ryan glanced at her. Sounds like someone I knew once. She turned her head slightly. A friend? He shook his head. A commander. He thought fear made soldiers stronger. I buried him on Mars, the Queen said nothing. But for a moment her eyes softened. You carry much loss. Ryan smiled faintly. So do you. They reached the old war tunnels beneath the palace. It was dark and silent except for the dripping of water and the hum of alien energy. Blue runes glowed on the walls, marking the path once used by royal guards centuries ago. Ryan stopped suddenly and held out his hand. Wait! A sound, metal against stone, echoed from ahead. Shadows moved. He crouched, motioning to the Queen. Stay low. From the dark, glowing eyes appeared. Alien assassins cloaked in silver light. They were Threx's loyal hunters. The Queen whispered, They were my protectors once. Ryan aimed his weapon. Not anymore. The assassins leapt like shadows made of blades. Ryan fired, moving fast and precise. Each shot hit its mark. Plasma fire lit up the tunnel in bursts of blue and white. The Queen summoned her power, her hands glowing as she unleashed a wave of silver energy, knocking two assassins into the walls. But one slipped through and slashed Ryan's arm. He grunted, twisted, and drove his rifle's blade into the assassin's chest. Nice try. When it was over, the tunnel was quiet again. Smoke drifted through the air. Ryan leaned against the wall, blood running down his arm. The Queen looked at him. "You risked your life again for me," he smirked. "I told you I hate traitors." She stepped closer, her expression unreadable. "You fight like you've lost everything." Ryan looked away. "Maybe that's why I fight." Their eyes met. Two warriors from different worlds, both scarred, both broken, both still standing. Then a voice echoed through the tunnels, distorted, mocking. "Still alive, human? Impressive. But you can't stop what's coming." It was Threx speaking through the palace intercom. Ryan raised his rifle. "You're running out of places to hide." Threx's laughter echoed like thunder. "Hide? No, I'm preparing the gates. When they open, the Devourers will burn this world clean." The Queen's face turned pale. "He's going to open the planetary shields." Ryan's voice was low, cold, focused. "Then we close them before it's too late." He reloaded his rifle, the sound sharp and final. "Show me the control core." The Queen nodded, her voice steady but trembling with fear. "Follow me." "The fate of my world depends on it." Ryan looked down the dark tunnel, the blue lights flickering ahead. "Yeah," he said quietly, "and maybe the fate of mine too." As they ran deeper into the palace's heart, shadows followed, unseen, waiting. And above them, in the burning sky, the Devourer army was already moving. The ground trembled. The palace alarm screamed like dying stars. Outside the windows, the sky was no longer red, and it was black. A massive shadow moved across the horizon. The Devourer fleet had arrived. Captain Ryan Cole stood beside the Queen of Zalaria in the main war chamber. Holograms showed hundreds of alien ships breaking through the atmosphere. Energy shields flickered, collapsing one by one. "He's doing it," Ryan said. His jaw tightened. "Threx is lowering your defenses." The Queen's silver eyes glowed fiercely. "If the shields fall, the Devourers will destroy everything. My cities, my people, my world." Ryan loaded his weapon and turned to her. "Then we stop him before he reaches the control core." "But my guards," she started. Ryan cut her off. "Your guards are loyal. I saw that. But they're soldiers trained for order, not chaos. Threx knows their every move. He trained them." The Queen looked at him silently. Ryan met her gaze. "Let me handle this," she nodded slowly. "Then you will not fight alone." "I will fight beside you," Ryan smirked. "Didn't think you were the type to take orders." The Queen's lips curved slightly. "I am the type to survive." They ran through the great hall as explosions shook the palace from below. The sound of battle echoed. Plasma blasts, screams, the clashing of metal. When they reached the royal courtyard, chaos waited for them. The Queen's elite guards, her most loyal protector, were surrounded by Threx's rebel troops. The once golden banners of Xylaria burned in the wind. Ryan stopped beside a fallen soldier, grabbing his energy shield. He looked at the Queen. "Stay close." She nodded, raising her silver staff, its energy pulsing bright. The rebels charged. Plasma bolts lit up the sky. Ryan moved first, fast and fearless, diving, rolling, firing precise shots that dropped enemies one by one. He moved like a ghost through fire. The Queen fought beside him, her power flowing like lightning. Every wave of her hand threw enemies back, but her energy was fading. One of her guards, a young alien named Kareth, shouted, "For the Queen!" before being struck down by a plasma blast. The Queen's voice broke. "Kareth." Ryan grabbed her arm, pulling her behind cover. "We can't save everyone," he said sharply, her eyes filled with pain. "They're dying for me." Ryan looked into her eyes, hard, steady. "Then make it worth it." For a moment, time froze. Fire surrounded them. The Queen's silver tears fell like glass. Then she stood again, stronger. Her voice rose above the chaos. "Xylarians, stand your ground!" Her guards, though wounded and broken, rallied once more. The courtyard lit with energy blasts as they fought for their queen. Ryan ran through the battlefield, his rifle overheating, smoke rising from the barrel. He picked up a fallen sword, alien metal humming with power, and swung it through an enemy's armor. Sparks flew. "Come on, Threx," he muttered. "Show yourself." High above the courtyard on the broken tower, General Threx watched the battle with a cold smile. His armor glowed red now, pulsing with stolen power. Beside him stood a glowing crystal sphere, the planetary shield core. One twist of his blade could open Xylaria's skies forever. He pressed the control plate. "My queen," his voice echoed through the air. "You could have ruled beside me, but instead you chose a human." The queen looked up at him, her voice filled with fury. "You chose extinction." Ryan aimed his rifle at the tower. "Get ready to move." He fired. The plasma shot hit the tower's base, shaking it. The queen unleashed a blast of energy that split the air. The combined power tore through the structure, sending Threx crashing down into the courtyard. He landed on his knees, armor cracked but still burning bright. "Still alive," Ryan said under his breath. "Of course." Threx rose, his plasma blade igniting. "You can't stop what's coming." Ryan stepped forward. "Maybe not, but I can stop you." They clashed. Sparks flew as human steel met alien plasma. Every strike echoed across the courtyard. The Queen's guards tried to help, but more rebels poured in, one by one. The Queen's guard fell. Each death echoed like thunder in the Queen's heart. Finally, she stood alone with Ryan, surrounded by enemies, the palace burning behind them. Threx raised his blade for the killing blow, but Ryan stepped in front of the Queen. The plasma cut deep across his armor, throwing him to the ground. The Queen screamed. "Ryan!" Threx smiled. Pathetic human. But Ryan didn't stay down. Blood ran from his shoulder, but his voice was steady. "You forgot one thing, Threx," Threx sneered. "And what's that?" Ryan's eyes blazed. "Humans don't give up." He pressed the detonator he'd hidden on Threx's belt. The explosion threw the general backward into the burning wreckage. The blast lit up the sky like a second sun. Silence fell. The Queen fell to her knees beside Ryan. "You're hurt." Ryan winced, trying to stand. "I've had worse." "Is it over?" She looked at the wreckage. "No, he's gone," Ryan frowned. "Gone?" The Queen nodded slowly. "He's heading for the control core. If he opens the planetary shield fully, the Devourers will enter orbit within hours." Ryan clenched his fists. "Then we finish this." He looked at her. Fire behind him, darkness above, but determination in his eyes. "Let's take our world back," he said. And somewhere above the smoke-filled sky, the Devourer ships began to descend, their engines roaring like the end of the universe. The night sky was burning. Black ships of the Devourer fleet covered the stars like a storm of metal. Their engines roared like thunder, shaking the world of Xylaria to its core. From the palace balcony, Captain Ryan Cole watched the horizon. Every city below glowed with fire. The alien world he once swore he'd leave was now the world he fought to save. Behind him, the Queen of Xylaria stood in her ruined armor, her silver crown cracked, her cloak torn. Her face showed no fear, only calm determination. Ryan turned to her. "They're landing in waves. Once the core is breached, your shield will fall completely." She nodded. "Then we hold it. No retreat." Ryan smiled faintly. "Didn't think you believed in last stands." The Queen looked at him. "I learned from a human." The control core lay deep beneath the palace, like a chamber of glowing crystals, each one pulsing with the life energy of the planet. If Threx reached it, he could open the world to the Devourers completely. Ryan and the Queen moved through the tunnels, their footsteps echoing. Above them, explosions rattled the ceiling like falling stars. When they reached the central gate, alien soldiers, loyal ones, waited for orders. Their armor was cracked, their faces pale, but they still stood tall. The Queen raised her staff. "Today we fight for every soul that still breathes, for every city still standing, for every guard who fell protecting me." Ryan stepped forward. "And if we die, we make it mean something." The soldiers shouted as one, their voices echoing through the tunnels. The gate opened and light flooded the chamber. Inside, General Threx stood before the planetary core. His armor glowed blood red, alive with Devourer energy. The crystal's light reflected off his blade, casting long shadows. "So," he said without turning, "the Queen comes crawling to her end, and her human pet follows." Ryan raised his rifle. "You talk a lot for someone about to lose." Threx smiled darkly. "You think I've lost? Look around you. The skies burn. The cities fall. You can't stop destiny." The Queen stepped forward, her voice strong. "Destiny doesn't betray." "You did." Threx turned, his eyes blazing. "I betrayed weakness. You made us beg for peace. The Devourers offer power." Ryan's voice was cold. "They offer death." Threx lunged. The chamber exploded with motion, plasma and steel, light and sound. Ryan rolled aside, firing blast after blast, each one clashing with Threx's shield. The Queen unleashed a wave of silver energy, forcing Threx back, but his armor absorbed it. He laughed. You cannot kill what has already transcended. Ryan charged, ramming Threx with his shoulder. They crashed into the control platform. Sparks flew. The devourer energy inside Threx's armor surged, distorting his body, twisting it. His voice turned monstrous. Do you see it now, human? This is evolution. Ryan spat blood. Looks more like corruption. They fought hand to hand, blades scraping, fists flying. Every hit echoed like thunder. Ryan's armor shattered. His body bled. Yet he refused to fall. The Queen tried to reach the control panel, but Threx struck her down with a pulse of energy. She hit the floor hard, her crown rolling away. Your queen falls, Threx said. Your world dies with her. Ryan, bruised and bleeding, looked at her motionless form. Something inside him ignited. He stood, his voice shaking with rage. You made one mistake, Threx, Threx sneered. And what's that? Ryan lifted the alien blade from the floor. You forgot humans don't die easy, he charged. Their blades met again, sparks raining down like meteors. Ryan drove his sword deep into Threx's chest, twisting it with all his strength. Threx screamed, the devourer energy bursting from his armor in waves of black light. The chamber cracked, the crystals around them glowing brighter and brighter. The Queen opened her eyes. Ryan, the core! It's overloading! Ryan looked at her, smiling faintly. Then let's make it count. He ripped the power cell from Threx's chest and jammed it into the control console. The light exploded, filling the room with pure white fire. Threx's scream vanished in the blast. The power surged through the palace, out into the sky, across the entire planet. The devourer ships above began to shake. Their engines flickered. One by one they fell from the heavens like dying stars. The Queen shielded her face as the explosion tore through the chamber. When the light faded, she crawled to the center. The core was broken. The air was quiet. Ryan lay among the shattered crystals, motionless. The Queen touched his hand. Ryan? His eyes opened slightly. He smiled weakly. Guess that worked. Tears filled her eyes. You saved my world. He shook his head. We saved it. Together. The Queen held his hand as the first rays of dawn broke through the smoke above. You will not be forgotten. Ryan's breathing slowed. Doesn't matter, as long as you live. The Queen leaned close. You will live in every story told after this day. He smiled one last time. Then, make it a good story. And his hand fell still. The world of Xylaria was quiet for the first time in centuries. The skies that once burned with war now glowed soft silver under the light of 3 suns. The ground still carried the scars of battle, craters, ashes, ruins. But life had begun to return. Flowers grew through cracks in the marble streets. The wind that once carried screams now whispered peace. At the heart of the silent capital stood the royal palace, half destroyed, half reborn. And inside its great courtyard, thousands of aliens gathered in silence. Soldiers, workers, children, all waiting for their queen. The great banners of Xylaria hung again, stitched with a new symbol, a circle of light around a small blue star. The symbol of the human. The Queen of Xylaria walked slowly to the center, wearing simple white armor instead of her crown. Her silver eyes shone with sadness and strength. Behind her, guards carried something covered with a black cloth, a coffin made from crystal and steel. When the crowd saw it, they bowed their heads. Inside that coffin rested Captain Ryan Cole, the last human on Xylaria. He lay still, his uniform repaired, his hands folded over his chest, holding the alien blade that had saved their world. The same blade that once belonged to the traitor Threx, now transformed into a symbol of courage. The Queen stood before the crowd and spoke. Her voice was calm, but every word carried deep emotion. We are alive because of him. The wind carried her voice through the courtyard. When our armies ran, he stood. When our hearts broke, he fought. When the devourers came to destroy us, only one being, one human, chose to defend their queen. Tears filled many alien eyes. Even the warriors who once hated humans bowed their heads in silence. The queen continued, her gaze rising to the skies. He came from a world that was forgotten. He had no reason to fight for us, yet he gave his life so that ours might continue. Courage does not come from blood or race. It comes from the heart. She stepped closer to the coffin and placed her hand on the glass. Ryan Cole, my protector, my friend, your story will never fade. A young alien child stepped forward, holding a blue flower, one that Ryan had once admired during his short stay in the palace gardens. The queen took the flower and placed it on the coffin. Then slowly she removed the royal crest from her own armor and placed it beside him. You were more than a soldier. You were the light that showed us who we truly are. That night, the queen walked alone to the highest tower, overlooking the city that now shone with new life. The stars above seemed brighter, almost as if Ryan himself watched from beyond. She whispered softly, "You told me once that fear spreads fast. But you were wrong, Ryan. So does courage." Below her, the people lit thousands of small lights across the streets, each one glowing blue. From above, they looked like stars covering the planet's surface. Every year on that night, they would repeat the same ritual. They called it Human Day, the day a single man saved a world that was not his own. In time, Xylaria rebuilt. New cities rose from the ashes, built with both alien and human technology. For in Ryan's ship, they found data from Earth, stories, songs, and history. His memories became lessons, his voice a guide for generations. The queen ordered a statue built at the palace gates. It showed Ryan standing tall, rifle in one hand, the queen's royal flag in the other. Below it, carved in both human and alien language, were the words, "He fought not for glory, not for power, but for hope." When all others fled, only the human defended their queen. Years passed. The queen ruled wisely, her people united and strong. But some nights when the stars were bright and the wind was quiet, she would walk to the statue and speak softly, as if Ryan could hear her. "Your kind believed in impossible things," she would say. "Now so do we." And somewhere in the stars, maybe in another world, maybe beyond all life, Ryan Cole's spirit smiled, knowing his fight had meant something. For in the end, he hadn't just saved a planet. He had changed an entire species. And his name, a single human name, became the legend that would echo through galaxies. Ryan Cole, the human who defended their queen,